Good morning. Well, for those who haven't heard Michael Angelo Caruso speak before, you're in for a real treat, and that's most of you in the room. Well, how entertaining is Michael? I've heard him speak 7 times at Pets, and I'll probably hear him speak another 7 times at Pets. And he has had me riveted in my chair or rolling on the floor laughing every single time. And I don't expect anything different this time. Rotarians, please welcome past District Governor and Zone 39 Public Image Chair, starting July 1st, Michael Angelo Caruso.
Nice job. Thank you.
You started the music like that.
I know. Well, that's all right. I don't know if you're going to hear me 7 more times, but you're going to hear me today. Thank you very much, Greg. Welcome, everybody. Did you have a good weekend? We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're in Rotary. Pets is an amazing opportunity for you to not only become president of your Rotary Club, but actually change your life. We know many, many presidents who are never the same again after they're president of their club, and I mean that in a good way. And I enjoyed Greg. You know, there's a little bit of dead air there when they said, we're going to bring up Greg to introduce the speaker, and it's like crickets. And Greg did something pretty cool. I love visual triggers, right? I love taking advantage of communication in ways that maybe most people don't take advantage of them. You were probably eating when all of a sudden there was some applause in the room, and you didn't know what was going on. I see heads nodding, and you look up, and here it is. Wasn't that nice that it happened without the announcement? It was organic and refreshing and nice. And these are the kinds of moments that you want to create in your clubs 50 times in your year as president, right? Little moments like that. Greg's waiting on the side of the stage like this, and you know, Greg's been around the back of the room for a long time. He's been in front of a lot of people, and he knew intuitively that something's wrong, dead air. What can he do to make that happen? And he did something very elegant. He did it without speaking, right? He went like this. And it was charming. And it reminds me of a concert I went to a little while back. Paul Anka. It was the second time I saw him. Anybody know the name Paul Anka? Yeah, famous guy. He's like one of the oldest of the Frank Sinatra generation. And Paul Anka has a great little move that he does when he's speaking. And he does it. It's an old showbiz trick, and it's a non-visual. I wasn't going to tell you this today, but I got excited when I saw a couple things earlier. And Paul Anka does this. Like, he finishes the song, and he's My Way, right, or whatever, and he finishes the song, and then the people start clapping, and right about the time you think that people would stop clapping, Paul Anka goes like this. And he just stands there and he milks it, right? It's pretty cool. And comedians call this not stepping on your applause, right? That's another thing you have to figure out when you start running meetings is when people are clapping, let them clap. Do not get right back to the meeting, right? That's a moment. So you don't step on your own laugh in the comedy business, and you can be like Paul Anka, and he goes like this. And once in a while he'll kiss the audience. He goes. So I just have fun with that kind of stuff. So we're teaching you a bunch of stuff today and yesterday and the day before. And one of the things the reasons we go through this whole thing at MS Pets or any of the pets is that we're teaching you to never be president of your Rotary Club again. All in favor say aye. Right. And the reason is because, you know, if you've got good leadership succession and you're a good president, you inspire other people to take up the mantle, right? So if you've got a pen, and I know you didn't come here to write, but you might hear some cool things here in the next few minutes. Write this down. This is important, is that leaders create other leaders. Isn't that true? Isn't that what we're doing at MS Pets? A bunch of people who have already done it are teaching 350 people how to do it. And when you go back home in front of your clubs, you're going to teach other people how to be president. But here's my favorite part. They don't even know it yet. You're going to be teaching people to be president, and they have no idea. Like, it's not even on their radar that they're going to be president of the club. And we don't know when it's going to happen. 3 years, 5 years, 6 years from now? Doesn't matter. It's all good, right? And if they don't become president of the club, maybe they'll chair one of your major events, and that would be okay too, right? So, I know how you're feeling. I was president in 13-14, and And the information comes at you, like a fire hose, and you feel good for a few days because you feel like you got this, and then you hear something about the foundation, and foundation's complicated, right? It's sometimes the most complicated for everybody to figure out because there's so many nooks and crannies. You're going to get a great talk this afternoon or earlier today about the foundation. And you hear this and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not even close to being ready. And then you'll feel strong again, and then you'll feel weak again. It comes at you in waves, like nausea, being president. We also know that you're going to have to deal with change. And I want to talk to you quickly about change and a couple of ideas that I have that will help you a lot. Do we have any boaters in the room? Anybody own a boat? Raise your hand high. Be proud. You same people are walking around naked half the summer, and you're shy about telling me you have a boat. So in boating, and it's also true on aircraft, I think, there's a thing called flotsam and jetsam. And very few people know the difference between the two. They think maybe the two terms are synonymous, but they're not. Flotsam and jetsam are two really distinct things. So if you had a bunch of water coming over your bow and something washed overboard, that's called flotsam. That's an accidental loss, right? Something left the ship or the craft that should not have left. And we've all had this happen. Even, you just drop something in the water, that's flotsam, right? Jetsam is when you make something leave the craft on purpose, like a strategy almost. That's the difference between flotsam and jetsam. And in your year as president, there's going to be both flotsam and jetsam. So I'll give you an example of both. Let's say flotsam is something that you're going to do away with on purpose, right? And it's not an accident. You might even tell everybody about this change way in advance. I just want you to know we're not going to do this during my year as president. We're going to try it and see how it works, and if the club likes it, we can never do it again. And if the club misses it, we can reinstate it. It's fine. And it might be something like, say, ringing the bell. I can speak about this because I'm a member of a club that stopped ringing the bell at the beginning of this year. And I'll tell you what happened with that in just a second. But so what happens is with flotsam, when you do it on purpose, is that, and you do it for various reasons, right? People decide that the bell is, like my president, who I happen to live with, she said to the club at the beginning of the year, she says that, and she's fairly new to Rotary, so she hasn't been exposed to the rich tradition. She's not as fond of the rich traditions. And she feels, like a lot of other new Rotarians feel, that some of the rich traditions are less relevant than they used to be. It's an interesting question that presidents and clubs have to deal with, is this little tug of war between tradition and progress, habit and relevance. Like the basic question, why do we still do this? Nobody even enjoys it anymore. Well, because we've always done it. Is that a good answer? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So Renee said, for the Troy Rotary Club, she says, we're not going to ring the bell this year. And she's president. She gets to decide. It wasn't a board vote, right? It wasn't like a $250 expenditure that needed a board vote. She just said, I'm not going to ring the bell this year. And she didn't. And not a single person has complained about the bell being gone. Now the guy that sets up the room kept putting it out week after week. And then Renee hit it. And the reason nobody complained about the bell being missing is because Renee substituted the bell with all kinds of other really, really good stuff. The ringing of the bell wasn't the highlight of the morning anymore, like it used to be in some of our snoozer meetings. The highlight of the meeting was what happened when Renee, this beautiful red-headed woman, gets up in front of the room, and she's vivacious, and she's got energy, and she's got things she wants to do, and she's going to pay homage to a lot of people in the club. We've had the best speaker lineup ever. And they didn't miss the bell. You see what happened? It didn't have to go that way, by the way. She could have kept the bell and done all of those things. It's just the way that she wanted to run the presidency. I'll keep you posted on what happens next year with the bell. Renee said, it was invented by a guy named Ivan Pavlov in 1865. And it was used to identify the habits in dogs, she says. But outside of that, I got no problem with it. So this is the kind of a thing that people go through, I think, when we make these kinds of decisions. So essentially what we're doing when we're solving problems as a president, everybody, is that we're thinking a few moves ahead. Now, most people don't develop this attitude naturally, interestingly enough. Most of us only think one move ahead. And there's a very simple analogy to tell you how this works, and that is the difference between checkers and chess. How many of you know how to play checkers? Please raise your hand if you play a pretty good game of checkers. Look at almost every hand in the room goes up. And how many moves ahead do we think in checkers? Basically one. I mean, it's a pretty simple game. But Trinity's here, and she's like going to become a chess master. Stand up, Trinity. Take a bow. Trinity's really good at chess. Stay with me, Trinity. How many moves ahead do you think in a pretty good chess game? Did you say 45 or 4? 4 to 5, she said. For a minute there, thank you very much. You may be seated. 4 to 5 moves ahead. And as president, it's important that you think ahead. So if you're writing stuff down, I want you to write this down. You probably never thought you were going to hear this weekend, but I'm going to tell you the stuff that nobody else is going to tell you. Write this down. You can write it in first person. People will let me down. Your own Rotarians will let you down in your year as president. I know. But here's the thing, Rotarians are good people. We volunteer, and sometimes we over-volunteer. Raise your hand if you've ever over-volunteered. So here's the thing, they tell you they're going to do this stuff, and then you find out, like halfway toward the deadline, they were just telling you what they wanted you to hear. Or they were just telling you what they thought could happen. And now you're like, what am I going to do now? My own team's not even on my team. Right? So this is interesting. And there are techniques for this. One of the techniques is that you got to get inside your own head and access something that are called cognitive biases. This is a good way to get in front of this problem. Now, cognitive biases were discovered by Dr. Daniel Kahneman, and he actually won a Nobel Prize for this. There's over 150 of them. You can Google them up, but I'm just going to share 3 of them with you today. And the first cognitive bias that will trouble you as a leader or a president trying to think 5 moves ahead is this concept. It's called optimism bias. You might have heard of it. Optimism bias is defined very simply. It says that, I'll give you a Rotary example, that you're so sure that you're going to be able to phone in the Rotary presidency that you've practically stopped trying already. There are people in this room that have stopped trying. You got this, you know. There are people that decided they didn't need to come to this training because they got this. And it's a tactical decision. How could you possibly be successful if you don't attend the most important training session of the year? But there were people that said, no worries, our club's going to be fine. So it's called optimism bias. Now there's another bias. It's the opposite of optimism bias, and it's called pessimism bias. And pessimism bias works like this. You're thinking to yourself, this Rotary thing's a monster. This is going to take a lot more time than I ever thought it was going to take. There is no way I'm going to be a good club president. And then you start saying stuff like, well, I'll just try not to ruin the whole club. Or I'll try to do at least as good of a job as the loser did last year. You see what you did? You just lowered the bar way down here. See, now, that's pessimism bias. I couldn't possibly do any better than average. By the way, statistically speaking, most presidents are average. Raise your hand if you think you're going to be an average president. And that's how it works. You know, like 86% of American drivers think they're above average. So that's pessimism bias. The third one, and the last one I'm going to share with you, is called blindside bias. Blindside bias is fascinating, and I see it all the time in the consulting business. Do we have any consultants in the room? Yeah, consulting business is rife with this. So the way the consulting business works, and I teach presentation skills, so I help leadership teams and sales teams. I do a lot of work with sales people. Leaders in the room, in work, leaders, hands up. Raise your hand if you're in sales or persuasion of any kind. Okay. And so this consulting thing, right, so somebody will call me, somebody that ostensibly likes me, they like something about my style, they've seen a video on YouTube, they've gotten a referral or something. They ostensibly are okay with looking at me, right? They call me in and they say, we've got a big problem with our department, we need you to take a look and see if you can help us. And I say, okay, great, I need to, open up the hood, look under the hood, do some assessments, and I'll get back with you. And this is all part of the arrangement. Everybody understands how this works. So I'll spend some time getting to know the company, looking under the hood, figuring them out. And I come back to the guy that ostensibly likes me, and I'll say, okay, here's what I discovered. I did some competitive analysis. I interviewed 16 of your people. I cross-referenced their opinions, asked another guy about this. I interviewed people who have nothing to do with the problem just to see what they think of it. And here's my assessment. Here's what I think the problem is, right? And then this guy who wants help says to me, I don't see it. And I said, oh, it's there. It's there. You know, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. My favorite quote recently from Ricky Gervais, the comedian, he says, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. I love that. Man, it just shut down any somebody whining at you. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. What? So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. In fact, by definition, if you can't see it, it must be there. I get a lot of work. And then I help them fix the problem. But blindside bias is an interesting thing, you know. So there's a little club in my district, and I talk about them all the time. They know who they are, right? A little club in my district. And they're beautiful people. They volunteer, you know, it's a 2-mile square area, and they're a very insular club, right? They're not really interested in growing or doing a lot of other things. They're just kind of happy where they're at. But then something bad happened. And this is what happens if your club is just, you know, just flat, right? If it's not, there's an old saying like in farming, if it's either growing or it's dying, right? As soon as you pick the fruit off the tree, it's dying. It's official. So your club is either growing or dying, which is fine if you're, you know, growing a little bit. But what happens when some of the wheels fall off the wagon? What happens? Well, this is what happened to this little small club in Michigan. And all of a sudden now, because they were a small club and now they've lost 2 members, they've lost 10% of their membership, right? And so now they're in a little panic, you know, because now they're wondering if they can stop the backslide. That's an interesting thing, you know, to try to do it in real time. And so we were talking. I'm a village elder back home, right, a past district governor from 16, 17. And I'm interested in helping her. She seems like she wants help, so we're going to have a conversation. In the light of day, we're talking about her club. And I'm asking her some pretty direct questions like, how do you do this? What's going on here? Right? Get right to the point, right? And by the way, I can tell if people are telling me the truth. I say, how are things going? They go, pretty good. I go, right away, you're lying to me. It's not going pretty good. Tell me the truth, and I'll help you, right? Rotarians, right? We're supposed to love the truth, but a lot of times we're dodgy about the truth, in my opinion. So we get right to it to solve the problem. I can't help her if she's not truthful with me. I said, tell me the truth. What's really happening? I said, where are you meeting? She said, well, we meet in a church basement. I said, describe the room to me. She says, well, it's cinder block walls. There's no direct light. And there's fluorescent lighting in the ceiling. And I said, great. And you have, I'm guessing, cinder block walls. You don't have any Wi-Fi in the room. Is that correct? She said, that's correct. I said, I'm guessing a lot of the pictures don't show up really well because you don't have really good lighting in the room. She said, yeah, we never take pictures. They look crappy. I said, okay. Getting a picture. Tell me about your food. She says, well, we have such really cute church ladies. One of them's 94 years old and she still gets out. Isn't that great? I said, yeah, that is great. That is great. What kind of food you serving? She says, well, it's mustacholi almost every Wednesday. I said, okay. I like mustacholi as much as anybody. Every Wednesday, yeah, she says, and the meal, she says, it's only $6 for the lunch. It's only $6. And I start to get this picture of visitors coming to this club and having this experience without the relevance of the Clausen Club tradition. Thinking to themselves, I'm never coming back here again. No Wi-Fi, mustacholi. Yeah, it was only $6, but I care about what I put in my body, and they gave me this crappy lunch. You see? So I said to her in this quiet moment, she starts talking. She wanted help. My best advice, I said, have you thought about finding a new place to have your meetings? Because that would solve a lot of your problems. I mean, it seemed like a simple, it's called Occam's razor. It's the simplest, most elegant solution to a problem. Why fool around with all the other solutions if one thing's going to fix most things? Occam's razor, you know it. And I said, have you thought about changing your venue? And then she paused for a second and she said, no, we don't want to change. She said, we love those church ladies. That was 3 years ago. I attended the assistant governor training this year in District 6380 because I'm vice governor to our governor, which means I'm a stand-in for him if anything bad happens to him. And he's a good guy, Sparky Leonard. Nothing's going to happen to this guy. But I'm attending all the training. And the Clausen president-elect is there, and it's my friend from 3 years ago. She's going to be president of the club again. And I flashed back to that conversation that we had 3 years ago. And I didn't say anything about remembering what it was, but I went up and I asked her how things are going. And she said, I think we're in trouble. She's playing checkers, ladies and gentlemen, and not chess. And chess isn't a hard game, but you have to learn it. You have to learn to play the game. And you can do it. Part of the goal is to, you got to change some things in your club, you know, and if you're president of your club, you not only have options to change things in your club, you are obligated to make changes in your club. You've been waiting for people to do something in your club, and now you're going to be the president. Please tell me you're not going to squander that opportunity. This is your time. I'm serious, because after you're done being president, you're going to go back to sitting in the chair thinking, why doesn't the president see this? Why don't they change this? You know, and you are one of the people. So this is what we're trying to tell you. So one of the things that would help is that you got to take a stand, and you have to create a value proposition. You have to stand for something, right? And taking a stand means that you can't make everybody happy all the time. You've got to figure out how to do away with some of the old practices in your club. Have you heard the phrase STP, the acronym? STP? I heard it at North Central Pets a couple weeks ago. STP stands for Same 10 People. So you got the same 10 people doing the same thing every year in your club, right? You understand, that's not thinking ahead. That's checkers, right? And so this idea of being able to think ahead like this, you know, and yeah, another thing to think about is opportunity is seldom convenient. You have an opportunity right now to change this, and you're thinking to yourself, why me? Why now? You know, that song that I came onto is called Right Here, Right Now. This is your time, ladies and gentlemen. And you can make a difference. You have the power. What's that movie? You have the power. You do. But you have to take a stand, you have to create a value proposition, and you have to help people understand that you're giving them permission to succeed. The French have a word for this. They call it encourage, right? We know it as encourage. So right now, I'm encouraging you to go out and do the right thing for your club. You know, move the club forward. Do what you can do. And then I'm asking you to deputize everybody in your club and give them the courage to try new things. To let an old habit slide and replace it with something better. That'd be a good thing. You don't have to change everything, but just try changing a couple things. It'd be good. All right, so this little path is riddled with problems. In golf, they call it sand traps. On the roads, we call it potholes. And you got to dodge these things because they're waiting for you. 5 moves ahead, right? So one of the challenges is you're getting all these ideas. You're coming up all fired up. You're going to go back to your club and put everything right into motion, right? Nope. It turns out there's things going on in society that are going to work against you. One of the things is just the mindset of the people that you're working with. Sometimes we just say stupid stuff and then we start to honor the stupid stuff. I'll give you a couple of examples. There are people who say, and they say this often, they say stuff like, I'm not a morning person. Raise your hand if you've ever said something like that. It's okay. I'm not a morning person, you know. And you've come to believe it through the years, right? And that's unfortunate because morning happens almost every day. And you're working with these people. You know, you have club meetings in the morning, and half of your club's not a morning person. You know, good luck with that. Second issue is this idea that this kind of attitudes that people have now. I mentioned Ricky Gervais a minute ago about the sensitivity thing. The sensitivity like meter in America right now is the needle is buried, as we used to say in the music business. I used to be in the music business. Did you know that? I toured the country in a rock and roll band. Yeah, you mentioned it. Thank you, sir. I toured the country in a rock and roll band with my brothers, and we opened for acts like Rick Springfield, Corey Hart, Joan Jett, way back in the day. And so we did a lot of recording, and then the needle's buried. That's not a good thing, right? And so the sensitivity needle is buried right now for a lot of people. I was on Facebook a while back, just a couple weeks ago, and a lady posted, and she's a younger person, and she posted this thing. It was quite memorable based on what happened right after that. She posted, the only term I hate worse than millennials. Well, she says, I hate the term millennials, and I don't like to be called millennials, right? And the only phrase I hate worse than that is young professionals. That was her entire post. So I contacted her. I did. I messaged her. And I said, listen, my name's Michael Caruso. I don't know that we've met. She's a Rotarian, by the way. And I said, I don't know that we've met. I said, but I'm interested in what you said. It's fascinating. I said, you belong to the largest demographic group in America today, and you would prefer not to be called the two things that we refer to you as. And I said, my question is this: what would you like to be called? And she said, I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. True story. So I said, good luck with that. You see how complicated it can be? We were talking at dinner earlier this week that in my district, as governor, I was trying to get people to enter their date of birth, their DOB, into Club Runner. We use Club Runner up north, so that I could know how many 30-somethings and 40-somethings I had in the district, so that we could create program for them, so that we could bait the hook and pull more of these young professionals / millennials / whatever we're going to call them into the organization, and had huge pushback. None of your business. Privacy issues. Why can't you treat all of us the same? Somebody typed. I'm like, because you're not all the same. You see, you're trying to create this value proposition in your club, and I hear this all the time. We're going to make the club fun. We're going to make the club fun. Has it ever occurred to you that what's fun for a 72-year-old may not be fun for a 42-year-old? Hello? This is not as easy as you think it might be. So we have our work cut out for us. Now, anybody can become a good president. That's the good news, right? Like, all of you can become a good president in, say, 10 months. And your club will wait for you. They're at month 9, and they're talking to each other while you're in the front of the room. Is it always like this? Yeah, same guy last year, same problem last year. They usually come around meeting 47, you know. So I know you can figure this out. The question is, can you figure it out sooner than later? And there are techniques for this. They're called heuristics or shortcuts, right? Shortcuts will help you get there. I'm going to give you some shortcuts to succeed. Get out your pen. Here we go. Number 1, I'll give you 5 quick ones here right now. The number 1 thing that you need to do, and this is especially true at the district level because you don't know all the people in your district like you know the people in your club, is you must cultivate talent. You've got to get new people involved in the equation. If you don't have new people, you're going to have the same result as last year. Now here's the pothole, the sand trap, is that when you become president, all the people that planned last year's events will come to you and say, would you like me to do this year's event for you? And it's going to seem like such a gift. Your reflexive answer is going to be, yeah, of course, yeah, nobody else has volunteered. Oh, I'm grateful, sure, thank you very much. And you're going to have the same result as they had last year. You're not going to improve your situation at all. So you have to have the courage, courage, to say no thank you to the person who did it last year, and the faith and the confidence that you're going to have somebody else pick it up. Here's another option. You say, yes, I'd like you to do it this year, but I want you to work with an understudy. I want you to work with somebody, a younger member of the club, and I want you to teach them all you know about it. Because that, and the other condition is I want you to incorporate some of the young person's ideas in the program. Promise me you'll do that, and you can have the gig. And then you go to the younger person and you say, it's a side deal with the younger person, and you say, I'd like you to be involved with this committee. It would be great for you. You don't have to do all the work. Somebody's going to show you the ropes, but I want you to contribute. Do we have a deal? And now they're going to be working together. And you can do this with every committee in the club. So it's a pretty cool way to go. So cultivating talent is your number one problem, is identifying those people that have normally not stepped up and getting them into the thing. We took 3 young professionals up to the 16th floor last night and gave them a chance to hobnob with the people that plan this event. But you know what, by the way, these aren't haughty people. But it's just the way it works out sometimes, you know, that they've got some stuff they're talking about with regard to the event, and we can't have everybody come up to the suite. But I took 3 people up last night, and these people are going to be superstars in this area. We know it. And when you just open the door a little bit for somebody, amazing things can happen, everybody, right? So the second thing I want you to do is I want you to create what's called the legacy goal. A legacy goal is something that people will remember you for 3, 5, 7 years after you're president. Think about that. What would people say about you? What's the number one thing that comes to mind when they think about your year as president? It could be that you brought Square, like card reader, credit card reader, to your club. How many of you take electronic payments right now? Yeah, see? So there's room for this, right? You be the one that brought that where it's easy to pay the club, finally. Don't you want it to be easy for the people to give your club money? Well, I think that's an easy question, but do you see how many hands just went up? So you could be the president that makes that happen. You could be the president that does this. The president that stops this. You could be the membership president. Decide who you want to be, and let's make it happen. And that's called the legacy goal. Number 3 is that you want to get in a really good habit of asking questions. Ask questions endlessly. How are you feeling? How did this work for you? Charles is at my table today, and we got some big shots at the table, but I don't care. We're just having an open conversation, right? And I said to Charles, can I ask you a couple questions? He said, yeah. And I said, what was the best part of the weekend so far? And Charles told me. And then I said, the second question, what's the weakest part of the presentation so far? Everybody at the table stopped talking. And he told us. And we're learning. Because if we can make this event 10% better next year, it's going to be a kick-ass event, wouldn't it be? And if you can make your club 10% better year over year, you'd have an amazing club. Just 10%. But that's 10% more members, 10% more foundation, 10% public image improvement, right? And Chuck Barnett will help you with that. He's a master. The third thing that you can do, third thing you can do is praise, compliments. Okay, first one's cultivate talent. Second one is legacy goal. Did we do praise already?
Ask questions.
Ask questions, number 3. Let's make praise number 4. This is the art of the compliment, everybody. We get so busy sometimes being president that we forget to compliment the people, you know, and give them a shout out. I used to have in my president notes, I'm gonna shout out to 3 people today. It was a form that I filled out, and there were 3 blank lines, and I was gonna mention somebody and pay homage to them from the podium every week. They loved it. They started listening for their names. One week somebody came up and said, how come you never mentioned my name? I said, because you never do anything. So he started doing stuff, so he get his name mentioned. Praise is a very powerful thing. Napoleon said men will do amazing things for a bit of ribbon. It's psychology, right? I don't want you to be like Napoleon necessarily, but it's psychology, right? Figure out what motivates people and then give it to them. You know, you could praise in public or private. Some people don't like to be praised in public. We did $1 million dinner and wanted to, you know, fly the flags of all the people that were giving money. We got 3 people to give $100,000 during my year to the foundation. You got to get the money in big chunks if you're going to get to $1 million. And to my utter surprise, because I love attention, to my utter surprise, one of the couples didn't want anybody to know. So we honored them and we didn't tell anybody. But the other 2, man, we took pictures, we did video. Why did you give some to the foundation? Why do you give $100,000? Wow, wow, wow. Those videos got amazing amounts of views. So praise in public and private. Pull people aside and say, listen, you are the best thing that's ever happened to this club. You are the heart and soul of the club. You have so much intellectual property, and we're so glad that you're with us, right? And people love it when you pay homage to them. So figure out a way to do that. It's really cool. And number 5 is my new area of interest, because I'm going to be a public image chair for Zone 29, as you know, in my part of the world, starting July 1st, is this idea of something I call image marketing. Now, it's a play on words. Image marketing is not only the image, like the the photograph marketing, but also your image as a president or your club's image. Image marketing has a lot of applications. So the technical applications would be things like photography, rules of, in photography. Like there's something called the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds says if you're looking at a graphic like this, that symmetry is boring, right? So if I stand directly in the center of the screen, that's boring. But if I move off to the side, what happens is it becomes more attractive in a way. Something about being offset a little bit or off-center. Now for some of you, it'll be easier to be off-center than others. Some of you just born off-center. But you're going to have a lot of pictures taken of you, and you're going to be taking a lot of pictures, right? I take a lot of selfies, but I'm also taking a lot of pictures of other people because I like to show off other people, and I certainly like to show off members of my own club. So that's called the rule of thirds. Needless to say, we're not going to post any more pictures of people with their eyes closed. Can I have your promise on that? If you see it, you're going to delete it. You don't want people to do that to you. And this only happens because you're too lazy. You dump your whole SIM card to the Facebook album, and now they're all there. So here's the trick. Dump them all and then delete them, right? Take 10% of them out right away. And here's another thing. We are people of action. Would you please stop posting pictures of Rotarians sitting around? Like I know there's 350 people here today. If you stand at that side of the room and take a picture, it's magnificent. But it looks like we're sitting on our asses all the time, not doing anything. And you know that's not true. So cultivate and curate our image, right, as people of action. That'd be really good. So it's hashtag POA or hashtag people of action. I'll show you another photography trick in a minute. It's called POV. So as always, I like to give away a couple of gifts to members of the audience. Bobby Davis, where are you? I always ask Bobby for permission, but I think 13th year in a row I'm pretty good on the green light for this. So I'm going to give away a couple of packets of my information products. One is a DVD called Present Like a Pro. You watch this, it's a master class in speaking, everybody, and you're going to give 62 more talks next year than you gave this year. That's 50 club visits and 12 board meetings, or not club visits, but 50 club meetings. Also, a booklet called Little Ideas with Big Results, and the third piece is called Work Hacks. I'm going to give away 2 of these packets today, and if you'd like to trade your email address for a chance to win, I'm happy to do the drawing in just a few minutes. I'll understand that if you give me your email address, you like these ideas, I'm going to send you an occasional idea to keep you sharp on communication, the psychology, the cognitive biases, and they'll keep coming all year. You can share them with members of your club as well. Deal? Deal. So quietly get out your cards and we'll have some people collect. Could I have a volunteer from this side of the room, please? Maybe one from each corner. Thank you. One from each corner and one from this corner. Hand up. Anybody? Thank you. And over here. Thank you very much. Yeah, just collect them. Raise the cards above your head and we'll come by and swing by and pick them up. I want to ask a couple of people to come up and join me in the front of the room. Gabriel, Caitlin, Tommy, please come up. Give these folks a nice round of applause, everybody. I haven't seen Tommy today. Is he still around? Hi, Caitlin. Have you seen Tommy? Yeah, maybe he's not here. That's okay. Hey, come on up, man. Nice to see you. Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
Fabulous.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Okay, back to the front of the room, everybody. I have a question. Shh, shh, shh. Just keep your hands up. They'll swing by and pick them up. I know what you're thinking. What a nice surprise.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to demonstrate a couple of things that you can use when you're in front of the group with your clubs. These are skills that you'll need as president to be a good leader from the front of the room. We'll just drop them on the table right there. That would be great. Thank you very much. So this first technique I want to show you is called the smile. It sounds like a simple technique, but most speakers, most presidents don't smile much. And it's for 2 reasons. The first is you've got the business of the club at hand, right? You've got stuff you need to do. You have responsibilities. But the second reason is even harder. Your central nervous system is under siege especially during the first few minutes of a presentation. We've seen it here this weekend, where people get on stage, and until they figure it out, they're not natural and authentic. Write this down. If you want to be believable as president, you have to be natural and authentic. And the best way to do that is to not use what's called a resting face or a neutral expression. What we want to do is smile. Now, I'm just finishing up a 2-year regime with Invisalign braces, everybody. Hadn't planned on sharing that with you either. But I'm very happy with my smile, and I've learned that there are different types of smiles, Caitlin, and they call the top 6 teeth the social 6 in the orthodonture business. The social 6. Because there's different types of smiles, right? So if you want to, I don't know how tight you can get, but watch. If I just crinkle my eyes and curl my lips a little bit, you get this kind of a smile. Watch. See, it's not much, but watch, this is resting. Just a little bit, right? And if I nod my head like this, you know, I'm a little buzzed. But if you're president, you're in front of the room, people are watching you all the time, and you're being photographed all the time. I believe it was Thomas Jefferson that said, always act as if you're on television. So, Gabriel's got a beautiful smile. I want you to remember to use that smile when you become president of your club. Deal?
Deal.
Real good. You can have a seat, brother. Thank you very much. You're going to be strong. Caitlin. This other thing that we can do when we smile is a little gesture. Now, women are better at this than men, and so the gesture, Caitlin, is this kind of a good morning, everybody, right? Can you do it with me?
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, okay, see? So it's beautiful. And yeah, wow, I didn't even start to work on her yet, and you've already pleased.
You did last year.
So yeah, what happens is that if you say good morning, everybody, you see how stiff and staid it is? But if I say good morning, everybody, and this is not a guy thing, so you male presidents are going to struggle with this. Women have 8 times more major body movements per hour than men. Major body movement, something like this. Do it for us, Caitlin. I never do that, you know. And the third thing is this. Stand up here with me. The third thing is this. Is she says, it's a great day to be in Rotary, like taking a cue from earlier. If she says it's a great day to be in Rotary, but doesn't move, there's a certain feel to it. But watch what happens when she doesn't move now. Here we go. It's a great day to be in Rotary.
It's a great day to be in Rotary.
Very good. Now, you can try it with the sun coming up. It's a great day to be in Rotary.
It's a great day to be in Rotary.
Very good. And now this is called the half step. This is a secret from the presentation business. So she wasn't moving before, but watch what happens when she says, good morning, everyone. It's a great day to be in Rotary. You see the half step. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great day to be in Rotary.
All right, it's not a show tune.
All right. You know how I am.
Yeah. Now watch this, the half step the other direction. Watch this. It's a great day to be in Rotary.
It's a great day to be in Rotary.
A hand for Caitlin, everybody. Thank you so much. It's like showbiz or something. We're going to do a quick drawing and get you on your way. Have you enjoyed my presentation today? Thank you very much. Bob, reach in, grab 2 winners, please. Grab them both at the same time. We're expediting. Got 2? It looks like it says Larry Smith, where are you? And April Lieberman. Come on up, everybody. Can you oh, here they come. Hey, guys. What club are you in? What do you do during the day?
The Madison Club in Alabama.
What do you do for work?
I'm an operations manager
Where?
in Huntsville, Alabama.
For what company?
Oasis Systems.
Okay, very good. Nice to meet you, sir. Here.
Thanks. Thank you.
There you go. Okay. It's thank you. It's surprising how come on over here into the light. It's surprising that sometimes we're a little reluctant to talk about ourselves. You got to lose this if you're going to be president of your club, right? You're the greatest club in the area, right? Say it, man. Tell me more about your club. Well, we're the greatest club around. For some of you, this is going to be an adjustment. Hi.
Hi,
I saw your picture up earlier. What's going on with you?
I'm going to be district governor in 6760, 2020, 2021. Woo!
April, what do you do during the day?
I'm a recovering attorney.
Very good. Wish you good luck with that.
Thank you.
Here's your present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. She's going to be great. Thank you. I'm going to say goodbye. I usually leave with this big motivational thing. I'm going to leave you with a little cerebral thing, right? We've been talking about change and big ideas. I'm going to share something with you, and I've only talked about this twice in public. I'm going to share this idea with you, then I'm going to plant the seed, we're going to water it and fertilize it, and you can do what you want. Renee, when she became president of the Troy Rotary Club, was learning about fundraising and how it works. You can't do anything without money, so you got to become a fundraiser as president of the club. She's putting her thinking cap on, and she's hearing things from people like, well, first you have to decide on an event. You got to get the club to agree on an event. Then you have to print tickets. Then you have to sell tickets to the event. Then you have to price it right so that you have enough of a mark so that you can make a profit so you can spend the money. And you have to make sure enough people come to the event, right? There's a lot of moving parts. Renee says, you got to love this. New president, new to Rotary, Renee says, well, why don't we just skip the event part? And now Renee has brought in 4 times as much money to the Troy Rotary Club as we did last year, and she hasn't had a fundraiser yet. She just went right to the corporations and said, look at us, we're Rotary, you like to give money to pre-vetted, approved things, approve us. We rock. We went into a buddy bench program, and she's putting buddy benches in every school in the Troy school system. This got us in really tight with the schools. All 16 benches have a corporate sponsor. We're doing a thank you lunch to bring the corporate sponsors closer to Rotary. I smell new members in our future. What do you think about that? You all heard? 1 second, we'll give applause for Renee. Have you heard of the buddy bench? You know what it is? Raise your hand if you don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is. It's a real thing. Google it up. So buddy bench, this kid in a school, he is getting picked on, and he comes up with this concept. If he just had a place he could go and sit down, other students would recognize he has issues or problems. They would come visit with him and help him. And that's how the buddy bench thing got started. It's amazing. What do you think you can do with that idea? Now you can applaud. Rotary is the greatest service organization in the world, and you're going to be the best president your club has ever had. My name is Michael Angelo Caruso. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for all you do for Rotary. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Pleasure.
Michael's a tradition at Mid-South Pets, much like Rotary Chicken and ringing the bell.